What is going on, Vikings fans? Gabe Henderson here alongside Ben Leber at the Indianapolis Convention Center for the 2022 NFL Combine. Ben, day one is starting to wrap up here behind us as we speak, and it has been interesting to say the least. Kwesi Adofo-Mensah talked today. Kevin O'Connell talks tomorrow. But before we get there, your initial reaction to, first and foremost, having people back in person here at the Combine, but seeing all the stories here behind us.
Well, it's the best part. I think, when we landed yesterday and got into town and got kind of situated, you could already feel the buzz of the NFL energy, and I think that's the best part. And it's what makes the NFL so good is we just celebrated the Rams and we watched their parade. We took a collective deep breath, and then here we are in Indianapolis, and we're already getting ready for what are the Vikings going to do at 12? Who's going to go number one? Is it going to be a defensive end, an edge rusher? Is it going to be an offensive tackle? All of those things, all those conversations, and what's going to happen in free agency, those things are already starting to happen as they did last night and into today.
Yeah, as you said, free agency, the draft, that's upon us. But before we get there, we know the press conferences here at the Combine are first things first. Kwesi talks today, like I said, and there was a lot of interesting takes. One in particular when he was explaining his relationship with Kevin O'Connell.
I used to have this thing in college called good friend theory, where you bring around your friends from home, around your friends from college, and there's something that binds them all together, right? You could remove yourself and they're already friends and they're close. Sometimes they're better friends with each other than they are with you by the end of it. And I think there's something to be said about like good coach theory because, the people that are in his orbit are incredible. We immediately got along, immediately collaborated. We went to a Timberwolves game and it felt like we were, longtime coworkers.
Ben, one word, friendship.
Yeah, I thought that was super interesting because not often in this business you hear a front office person talk about their head coach, and one of the first things they talk about is wanting to build a friendship. We always hear relationship, and most time we're talking a business relationship, but it sounds like to him, he wants to get off on the right foot and actually be friends with Kevin O'Connell and have that mutual respect of being friends. And I thought that was telling because I think we can all attest to, you think about your friends, think about some of your best friends in your life. You can have real open and honest conversations when you start to really emotionally connect with that person. And so maybe the tough decisions they have to make down the road, they don't have to be so sterile in a business sense. They can approach this from a friendship deal. You are sometimes more honest with your friends. And so maybe, just maybe that collaboration that we keep talking about and they keep talking about, it's a real thing behind the scenes.
And I think that helps simply because they both know why they are here. Like, hey, we're here to win a Super Bowl. We're here to bring this city a Lombardi trophy. And when you bring that all together, you say, okay, let's peel the curtain back and say, okay, guys, like Kevin, how are you? You wear sweatpants too? Like he said that in the press conference today. So that's what really stood out to me. And having that perspective is key when building for a long-term success.
Yeah, it's funny how just their attire, you walk into a room and sometimes you see a bunch of suits and you kind of get tense, but then you see a bunch of guys in sweatpants and hoodies and you kind of relax. And it seems like they want to be on the same page about just what's the working culture going to be like. One of the other things that, of course, everybody's been talking about in the couple weeks leading up to this, and Kwesi was going to get this question. It was asked, but what was his thoughts on Kirk Cousins in the quarterback position? So take a listen.
And I think what you know about Kirk is when the odds are shifted in his favor, he gets the most out of it, right? And I think people don't appreciate that skill enough. But he's incredibly consistent, incredibly accurate thrower, tough. He's durable. He plays every game. He stands in there and takes those hits when those throws are a little bit harder to come by. He's an incredible player, really cerebral. He's one of the first phone calls I made.
Well, Gabe, you know what was going to get asked.
Yeah.
What did you think of his comments?
Well, the first thing that stood out to me was the fact that when he first got the job, Kirk Cousins was one of the first people he reached out to, and he told him that, hey, I'm very excited to work with you. So I think that puts a lot of rumors to rest that, hey, Kwesi wants him as the quarterback here for the Minnesota Vikings. What that looks like contractually, we don't know what that looks like yet. But first and foremost, when you say that, you can build towards something in the future. And the fact that he says, like, hey, the improvisation, that's going to come with time. Of course, we joke about it all the time. When Kirk played under Kevin O'Connell in 2017, that's the most career rushing yards he had in his career, 179.
Yeah.
So improvisation is definitely going to be something that the Vikings are going to want to push, but they understand what they have in Kirk Cousins with him being so detailed, him being accurate, and him being consistent, being a starting quarterback.
Yeah, and I think that to me, it's not always what you say, it's kind of how you say it. And I think that there was a tone in his voice that was very confident about his feelings towards Kirk Cousins as well.
Yeah, and those feelings, he put 2 words on it. And I think Vikings fans will have a lot of fun with this.
He talked about quarterback needing to know when to be Superman and when to be Clark Kent. And so a lot of times you can actually be bad, being too much Superman, right? So it's not just what happens when the play breaks down, but your ability to get us to the next down. As a quarterback, you hold all of our hopes, our dreams, our livelihoods with the ball. And so we want somebody to take that risk, but also understand the importance of taking smart decisions. So it's just combining all that together and figuring out what gets you the best way forward.
Superman, Clark Kent.
I liked it. I mean, it's sort of topical with all the Marvel world and all the superhero stuff. And don't get mad at me if he's not even with Marvels. I don't know who's associated with who, but. It's true. I think sometimes we look at quarterbacks that can improvise, and you're like, we always want the Superman type of player, but Superman can get you in trouble when it's not needed. So you want to find the nice balance between when you can be Clark Kent and when you can be Superman.
Well, I guess you're Superman and I'm Clark Kent in this case, and we got to play these 2 roles these next few days. So Vikings fans, stay tuned to Vikings.com. We will have more updates every single day, today, tomorrow, Thursday, coming right here from the Combine. Stay tuned.